important, prudent is true strength training when your primary goal is physique?
Trey. Trey what? Trey?
Harley.
Harley?
Yeah.
Trey Harley asked, how important is lifting heavy or power? Is it powerlifting? Or just lifting heavy?
More of a strength phase, like strength training.
How important is strength training for hypertrophy? Trey, I'm going to tell you something. We've done some stuff like in our lab where we've had guys do powerlifting type things. So they were kind of bodybuilders, and we put them on like almost like bench squat deadlift type routine and not a lot of auxiliary lifts. Because based on the specificity principle, as you focus kind of on the lift, you will get stronger. You learn the lift better. So we had them powerlift. We kind of coached them like powerlifting, taught them technique, and their lifts went up. I think there was one guy I saw where we took his deadlift from like 500 to 600 pounds. We DEXA'd them using our Hologic DEXA like before and after, and they actually lost lean mass. And does this happen all the time? No. But what I'm saying is that strength, like just gaining strength, does not necessarily mean that you're going to gain muscle, depending on the program you came off of. Okay? Let me tell you why. I could take almost anybody, most people. If you're like a professional powerlifter, it's going to be different. But if you're a normal guy and you squat like a bodybuilder, you're more focusing on the mind-muscle connection, and we brought you in the lab and kind of taught you powerlifting techniques, I probably could improve your squat by like 50 pounds within 2 weeks, maybe not a week. But you didn't gain muscle, because if you think about it, powerlifting itself is really about becoming more efficient. In fact, one thing Ben Pekulski says here, he says, powerlifting is more about becoming more efficient at the movement, whereas bodybuilding is being less efficient with the movement. So for example, if I'm doing a bench press, powerlifting-wise, I'm going to arch my back, I'm going to decrease the distance between the bar and my chest. With bodybuilding, I'll flatten my back out. I'm going to make it harder, okay? So, to answer your question, lifting heavy and progressive overload is a major tool for gaining muscle. Powerlifting is a sport, and they're two separate things. So you need to lift like a bodybuilder, meaning like you're trying to make the movement less efficient, which isn't going to optimize strength, but lift in a strength range, say 5 or 6 repetitions, while making the move less efficient is important for your muscle gains. Is that? Yeah, so that's kind of my answer to your question.
So, next question. We're doing this one.
Yeah, you can go first. Okay.
So, is cyclic bulking superior to traditional bulking?
Short answer, yes. Cyclic bulking is superior to traditional bulking because basically if you go through periods where all you're doing is have caloric surplus, and what's going to happen is you will become very insulin resistant. Over time, you'll notice your pumps are less. Whereas if you're going cyclic and you have periods of depletion, we know periods of depletion keep your muscle insulin sensitive and they keep you lean. So absolutely.
And I'm going to kind of jump off that question.
Yeah.
There's a question that might come arise from that. So what about protein intake? I know we discussed a few weeks ago, protein intake in excess really doesn't cause a lot of fat gain.
Great point.
But just to clarify that, because some people might still be a little confused with that.
Yeah, so basically, you have different macronutrients, right? You have protein, you have carbs, you have fats. A lot of times, the general equation is meet my protein needs, whatever that means. Hit my fat needs, whatever that means, and fill in the rest of my calories with carbs. My question is why, right? You got to think of it from a body composition standpoint. People say needs, they're thinking protein synthesis. Protein has many benefits beyond that. One of the benefits of protein is you can up calories without gaining as much fat. It is very, very difficult to gain fat with protein. So one of the ways you can up your calories without gaining fat is by increasing protein. So I think that is very, very important kind of to point out. In fact, Joey Antonio did a study where they gave, I want to say over 3 grams per kilogram of protein.
We did like 3.2.
3.2.
4.4 another one.
And another one 4.4. And the subjects didn't gain fat, and they lost more fat. No, they didn't gain more muscle, but they lost more fat. So I think that would be my answer to that question. What else we got?
Perfect. So 1 carb day in the week is beneficial to build muscle on keto diet.
So like a 1 carb day, so we're talking about like cyclic dieting? Great question. We did a study with cyclic on dieting, but we carved up the whole weekend, and we found that it destroyed adaptation, like people didn't get keto adapted. So I don't recommend carving up all weekend. Could it one day carve up negate those effects? It's possible. I don't know. I would recommend more like targeted ketogenic dieting, if anything, meaning more like having carbs around the workouts. And you don't need a lot, maybe like 20 to 30 grams before you train, because training is going to blunt the insulin response, and it won't kick you out of ketosis. So the other thing is when you do long-term keto, your glycogen is just fine, so you probably don't need to really have a big carb up on the weekend. So that's my answer to that. If you do decide to carb up, don't go to like Cheesecake Factory, even though I like Cheesecake Factory a lot. You can go keto when you're Cheesecake Factory. Really good, man. Like, we should hit that up.
And the pie, let's go.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, but anyway, yeah, like, if you want cheesecake, have my keto cheesecake, but that's my point. Like, I would carve up cleanly if you did.
So, what are the risks of extreme long-term dieting, months on end, not just weeks? So, long-term calorie deficit.
Basically, the longer, McLean and others have shown that the longer that you diet, the more you adapt. And that's just, you can call it dangers or I mean, I don't know if it's dangerous. The real thing is that there are benefits to calorie restriction. There are benefits to fasting. When you talk about dangers, the fact that you adapt by lowering your metabolism, you adapt by becoming more efficient with storing your calories, and the danger is that when you up your calories again, you're going to store fat on a very low amount of calories. So that's more the danger. So what we typically recommend is something like a moderate duration. Like nowadays, people are like, I dieted for 6 months for the show, and they were like 12% body fat when they started dieting. To me, that makes no sense. I would have a shorter duration for that, like 12 weeks. Heck, you might be able to get contest shape in 8 weeks on that. So I think it's more like not ridiculous crash dieting, not these long 6 to 8 months new dieting that's based on data that's really logically doesn't make sense. I would recommend a moderate, more of a moderate paced diet. And then when you're done dieting, none of these long reverse diets come out of it relatively quick.
Okay, so MCT versus olive oil, which is the more beneficial fat source?
MCT versus olive oil, both are excellent fat sources, to be honest with you. Olive oil is excellent. The advantage to MCT is it's really a great energy source, and the fact that it almost acts like a carb in the sense that it bypasses certain transport mechanisms. It gets right into the mitochondria. It gets used as fuel really rapidly. It's going to produce ketones at a much higher rate than olive oil, but olive oil has several health benefits as well. You look at like Mediterranean diet. There's tons of studies on Mediterranean diets being very healthy, being cardioprotective, improving heart health. Think about it. It's just like vegetables. I wouldn't go like, what's better, broccoli or carrots? Both. And so it's the same thing, olive oil and MCTs. Both. But MCTs are when you need energy. MCTs, if you're doing a keto diet or if you're low carb and you want your ketones up. So that's the answer to that question.
So, in regards to diet and training, what are the best methods within those two aspects to increase insulin sensitivity?
Insulin sensitivity. Let's talk about what is insulin sensitivity. think about it like, right now you're listening to me, you know, your hearing is kind of how sensitive you are, in a sense. Think of that as insulin sensitivity. Insulin is a signaling molecule, it's a hormone. It talks to our cells. So you want to think about when you're very insulin sensitive, the cells can hear that signal very well. What causes us to be insulin sensitive seems to be a lot of mitochondria in the cell. More mitochondria you have, the more we turn over fat in the cell, and the quicker we turn over fat in the cell, the better it functions, and the more it actually can hear the signal of insulin. How do you increase mitochondria in a cell? In short, depletion. Depletion of glycogen. When you deplete glycogen in a cell, the cell turns on a cell signal that's called AMPK. That's like, oh, that's the cell signal, AMPK. And how do you do that? You deplete the cell of glycogen. So how do we deplete the cell of glycogen? There are several ways. One is long duration cardio, which could take like 2 hours. 2 is this Wingate bike that's right here. If someone's sprinting on it, they pedal all up for 175 revolutions, and then that weight drops onto the flywheel. You doing Wingates later?
Yep.
So, yeah, it's Wingate.
Follow Snapchat and IG.
Okay, cool. We'll see us Wingating on Snapchat and IG.
30-second drop set.
oh God. Okay, I gotta live up to it. So 30-second drop set today. What happens is a 30-second all-out sprint, everything you have, nothing left, 10 out of 10, can deplete glycogen by like 26%. So close to 30%. So sprinting, you can deplete glycogen, you know, within 20 minutes, like really deplete yourself. Within 10 minutes, really deplete yourself. Even 5 minutes if your intensity's high enough. So we recommend high-intensity interval training. The other thing that really helps are things like supersets and giant sets. Anything that's high repetitions, that is what depletes glycogen. As far as diet is concerned, having lower carbohydrate days and training in a low-carb state, even if you have higher carbs, is going to improve insulin sensitivity. Remember, it's all about depletion when you're going to trigger mitochondrial formation.
In regards to specific foods that people may think are keto, what are some foods you would stay away from? For example, say something like carrots.
Oh,
Carrots, they are vegetable, not very high in sugar or carbohydrates. However, compared to other vegetables, they may be.
Correct. If you're keto, like Andy said, like I like carrots a lot, but if I was keto, I'd use them more as a light topping. Whereas broccoli, I would have a whole plate full. Salad, I'd have a whole plate full. If I wasn't keto, I might have a whole bowl. Heck, I might have a bag of carrots. You know. And I think so. That's kind of key. So stick with greens, leafy greens. You know, like I said, broccoli. Things of that. Anything that is like green or leafy or like that. Stick with. Things that are more other colors is very like rare. Sometimes you really have to just look at the macros on them. You know, like you said, like tomatoes are great, but use them as a topping as opposed to like eating 2 or 3 tomatoes a day. Think of those vegetables more as a topping or as a green that's your base.
Quickest way to keto adapt?
Quickest way to keto adapt, intermittent fasting is going to be 1. 2, interval training. We found in our lab is going to get you into keto much faster. So I would say intermittent fasting and maybe starting off at a higher fat ratio. Like maybe start off at like 80% fat for the first few days and then kind of back off. But I would say train through it. Like don't go, oh my God, I'm not keto adapted. It's okay for me to train like a pansy, right? No, it's not. Train your behind up. Deplete, and that will force the adaptation. Anything else on that, guys?
No, that was perfect. That was a lot about that question. Okay, so if you're super lean, can you use MCTs to increase your ketone levels so you don't oxidize, metabolize stored adipose into ketones? So basically, they're super lean already and they don't want to lose any more body fat.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations. So basically, so what you're basically saying, you're shredded like Paul, right? Then
We'll go with that. Sure. I'm not stepping in front of the camera.
Basically, and you want to spare like fat tissue. The answer is, remember, you will burn dietary fat first. So now you're really talking about a calorie issue, right? What's up, Larry? Yo, you can come. It's a nice
You
shirt.
said Larry shredded, right? That's right.
Larry shredded. Larry, come here. Here you go. My man, let's take out this
Show
shirt.
him the shirt into toe.
So I think, Larry, what are you training today?
Gonna do some wing gates.
Wing gates. After this, I'm going to do wing gates too, man. So basically, the answer is yes. If you have MCTs and you have a high amount, yeah, you would probably you'd probably burn that first. But overall dietary fat is going to spare your own body fat and overall calories. So you're going to want to get your calories up to a point where you're not losing weight anymore. So that would be kind of the answer. In general, high amounts of dietary fat will spare your own fat. It's calories around.
Should I work on biceps after back on separate days?
You should always work biceps, yes.
End of discussion.
Every day.
When you think about,
But what was the real question, though?
should I work biceps after back on separate or on a separate day?
Both. To be honest, both. Because you can focus on your arms on a separate day, but after back, they're pre-fatigued, so you might as well hit them. It all depends on your goals, right? If you're strapped for time, work a bunch of body parts together. If you can afford to have an arm day, boom. All right, last question.
Thoughts on exogenous ketones?
Thoughts on exogenous ketones? I think they have a huge impact. I think if you think about exogenous ketones, they're an alternative fuel source. I mean, they're a great fuel source. And Richard Beach just had a study in athletes where he found performance was better when you took in ketones. So our labs found it has improved focus. We know there's a lot of other benefits to ketones that we're really discovering every day. So I definitely think that could be the wave of the future in sport nutrition.